Hi, it's Tara Green. I want to talk about the Pisces full moon, September the 20th. That's 2021 at 4:54 p.m. That's Pacific Daylight Time, 7:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 11:54 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So I've got this chart set to Toronto, Canada, where I am. And let's talk about this. This is a very, very karmic harvest. Talk about a harvest full moon. I had a very spiritual astrology teacher years ago who said to me that the whole point of your chart was to progress your planets up to the very last degree of the zodiac, which is the 29th or the 30th degree of Pisces, which indicates that you've finished all your karmic lessons in this lifetime and that you are ready to go on. In Tibetan Buddhist terms, this means that you've finished up your lifetimes, that you're not connected to karma, and that you're free to go off into higher realms. So here we have the moon at the 28th degree of Pisces. We always move forward, so it's at the 29th degree. So technically, all planets at the 29th degree of any sign are called critical or anorectic, and so here's the moon at that very, very last degree, okay? So this is like the 11th hour and 59 minutes, okay? So I think we can sort of feel that energy. You know, the moon in Pisces is extremely emotional, very sensitive, extremely psychic. It is the sign of the realm of bliss, of endings, of completion anyway. It is the sign of illusions, delusions, major projections. Pisces rules Hollywood, rules glamour, rules everything that's fake in a way, everything that's not real, anything that's not substantial. You know, there's the sun at the 29th degree of Virgo, very substantial, very solid, you know, very hardworking, you know. And here's the moon. Okay, so the moon, again, the moon is our emotional body. It rules the dream world. It rules the imagination. It rules spirituality. It rules the sign of Pisces. We could see this as another kind of nail in the coffin of the age of Pisces in a way. But it's very much about us feeling our oneness, and we're in a time of extreme kind of push that we're needing to feel split and that we're at battle with each other, and it's really gotten to be kind of almost sadistic in a way in the major media. So we have to get back in touch with our oneness. So one of the major meanings of this full moon is to get in touch with the sense that we're all one. In a sense, we all come from spirit. We all come from source. We're you know, holographic, you know, images of all that is. You know, that's the way I've always seen it. Okay, so we need we need some pink quartz energy there. Although the you know, mineral for Pisces is amethyst, of course, or aquamarine, opening up our third eye chakra. So there we go. We put some amethyst on you there. So we want to feel our oneness. We want to feel that connection. We want to feel the sense of bliss, of peace, of returning to the source, the ocean of bliss, like our mother's wombs. You know, all the water signs are related to the womb. So it's very important that we do that and we don't, you know, fall into that dichotomy, you know, the more practical, the nitpicking, the critical, you know, all of that stuff, okay? So I am certainly feeling overwhelmed by grief right now. I think that, you know, this Pisces moon, it is connected to Neptune, the planet that rules Pisces, so, you know, everything is very strengthened by that. It's a time to really tune into your intuition, to wash clean your third eye, to really let go, really let go. This is about surrender. Neptune is the planet of surrendering. This is like the card of the hangman in the tarot, right? Letting go. You know, your ego is not everything. We're not our ego. We can't be run by our egos. It's an important organizing factor like the sun in Virgo, but you have to let go. You have to let God. You know, it's very much like this is a critical AA meeting for the world. We're all caught in these addictions. We're all PTSD at this point. The only thing we can do is give up our egos, okay? Surrender to spirit, have faith, trust. That's what this full moon is all about. Maximum trust, maximum faith in spirit, okay? Even though, you know, that sun in Virgo is saying, no, you have to look at all the details and add them all up. So feeling our oneness, so I'm I'm feeling very emotional and very exhausted by all this. I did have a death in the family on Thursday, a dear uncle of mine who'd been sick for about 10 days, so I've been putting out a lot of energy to him. And his passing seemed very acute to me. He was, even though he was 96 and a half years old, and he totally died on his own terms, but brought up other things, like this is the anniversary for me on September the 18th of my mother passing away 12 years ago, Jupiter's cycle. And I never got to grieve that. And, you know, I basically got, you know, my lungs were full of fluid. I've been diagnosed as having COPD since that time. And so the grief, there's a well of grief and exhaustion just hit me. And so I was going to do a Pisces full moon magic astrology workshop, but I just feel like I'm too overwhelmed. But at this point, so because I'm owning the grief, I'm owning my own grief, I'm feeling the grief of everyone else, all the death. And the unknown, totally unknown. Nobody knows WTF is really going on, to tell you the truth. It's all like we all did go down the rabbit hole, okay? So I'll keep you posted, but I really feel like I need to stop. And, I was thinking about my teacher, Raya Mountain Dreamers, about her quote about, can you sit with grief, mine or yours, and not move to fix it or change it or just be with it. So being with the grief, this is like Chiron, the wounded healer, Chiron at 11 degrees of Aries, opposite Mars in Libra. So being with the grief, not being defensive, not being angry, not blaming somebody else. That's projection. That's also a Pisces thing, right? So owning that we're all caught in this big soup, okay, together. We are not separate. Nobody's really separate from anybody else. So all the blaming is only our own shadows. This is a time to do big, deep shadow, reeling in those shadows. Look at your own shadow. Whatever you're blaming everybody else for, no matter what the apparent seeming cause, look at your own shadow, okay? So this is a very, very intense full moon, and it's also coming 2 days before the autumn equinox, so that one of the major turning points in the year. So it's a good time to work with your intuition, to meditate, to connect to your higher self. The moon at 28 degrees Pisces is squaring the galactic center, one of my favorite points. That's the big black hole at the center of the galaxy. So it makes what's called a T-square, like a pyramid from the sun, moon to the galactic center, which has the asteroid Eros there. So this is a very erotic, a turned-on galactic center. We go right into that big black hole, and you can come out the other side. I believe that that's where the answers are. It's super galactic. This is the cosmic yoni, talking about erotic, that the Mayans believe that all souls entered and exited. So it's super important to tune into that. I would still like to do a meditation on this with other people to get them to tune in and go through that black hole. It's not a science fiction movie, it's real, okay? And find out what's in there, get totally smooshed and, go right to the event horizon and see what happens when you come out the other side. Right, now, so, again, the ruler of this Pisces full moon in traditional astrology is Jupiter. And there's Jupiter in Aquarius, still retrograde, 23 degrees of Aquarius. It's trining Mercury in Libra. Mercury is not yet in its shadow moving retrograde, but it sure feels like that to me. So that's a nice kind of ability to tune into some kind of balance. Although it's mental balance, it might be a little bit detached, but we might need that because we're all going to be feeling everybody else's feelings big time on this full moon, okay? And it is a time of completion, so we're also completing karmic timelines right now, okay? So really you want to come up to speed with, what are your karmic debts? You want to be able to move through time, past, present, future, in the now, and to release, extremely cleansing, working with water, letting go, allowing, trusting, faith, being in this, on the liminal space. I don't know WTF is going on. Nobody really knows WTF is going on, okay, at this point, to tell you the truth. And really calling out to the galactic center, calling out to our ancestors to come and help us. That's really what strikes me as what needs to be done right now, okay? Again, so Jupiter in Aquarius, being able to be a bit detached, but it's also about joining with people who are on the same wavelength, okay? And talking and communicating in an aura of acceptance. We are all in this boat on this little blue planet together. There's people up in space looking down at us going, wow, there's 8 billion people there, and it's a really not such a big place, in the grand scheme of things. Uranus is also opposite Venus and Scorpio, so this is very intense energy. Again, this is like the opposing forces. Venus and Scorpio can bring out, again, the deep shadows, the vindictiveness, the control, the power, the vengeance, the jealousy, all of that stuff. It is, wide square to Saturn, so the archetypal Saturn-Uranus square, should I stay or should I go, is really also on this full moon, okay? Venus and Scorpio opposite Uranus brings, women want to be free, people want to be free in relationships, they want to change the whole commitment. Saturn and Aquarius, we're not doing the traditional thing anymore, okay? So opening up new wavelengths, new neural pathways, new ways of thinking about things. Pluto is at 24 degrees of Capricorn as well, trining the sun. There is a big grand trine here, kind of, it's a very wide one, really to the star Algol, which is Medusa, okay? So that's an interesting aspect to bring in. Medusa, the warrior, you know what I mean? She was so strong and so fierce that men were terrified of her, you know, so she just had to look at them and they were shaking in their boots. But of course they had to change it, so they were blaming her, okay? The North Node is at 3 degrees of Gemini, conjunct Lilith and Ceres still. Those two powerful, the two sides of the feminine, the mother or the whore, been very close together in Gemini, so we're thinking about that split and trying to heal it, but of course sometimes it always seems to get magnified. Vesta, the goddess of investments, has just moved into 0 degrees of Scorpio. She's connected to Mercury there. Juno, the feminine form of Venus, is right on the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor at 14 degrees of Sag. It's a very powerful point, so we can really attract what we want. It's in a trine to Chiron and Aries. I know it's not shown on this chart, but I definitely know it's there. And it's also sextile Ceres and Lilith, so actually using the divine feminine energy is really, really powerful. And also Ceres and Lilith are in conjunct Venus in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries again. So a lot of women, I think, are feeling very wounded in relationships these days, and I've certainly been hearing that in relationships. Now, there will also be a big federal election in Canada on this day, which I'm going to comment about separately. I don't believe it's going to be a fair election. I think it's going to be a fixed election with the moon represents the people, and Neptune represents, you know, falseness, false evidence. So I think that Trudeau, if he's reelected, it's because this is not a fair election. I think the same thing that went on, that's been going on, you know, politics being manipulated is definitely going to be going on here too. So if you want to get in touch with me, I'm at tarottarot.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. Follow me on my blog at infinitynow.wordpress.com. I haven't been writing every day because there has been this death in my family. I do need to take time to take care of myself. I'm feeling quite burnt out, actually. And I'm only a human being. I can only do what I can. Psyche, the asteroid Psyche, is opposite Jupiter. So again, Psyche in Leo. Good to tune into that energy. So that deep heart. The heart is where the psyche is. Okay, really, the heart is the real brains, not the mental stuff. We've all been too focused on the mental planes. Okay. So again, that erotic energy with the galactic center, I find that really interesting. So I'd really explore that meditation. Definitely get into water. Be near water. Do water purifications, or what they call water pujas, on this full moon. And of course, the effects of a full moon, you know, last while the moon is in that sign. Well, of course, the moon is definitely going to... Oops, what just happened there? The moon is going to... Oh, my screen went off. The moon is going to, of course, you know, enter Aries very shortly after that. Okay, so sending you all the best blessings and stay well.